Good evening, CJ Math students. So let's go ahead and do homework 2.7, adding and subtracting rational numbers before we get into the weekend so we can enjoy our wonderful weekend. So I'll do the odds, you do the evens. I suggest pausing the video after I do an odd so that you can do an even, which is pretty similar to the odds. So here we go. Number one, anytime we see a subtraction sign, we're going to keep, change, change. Remember, the keep, change process is either going to be a plus, plus, or a plus negative, right? So on this one, keep, change, change, keep it, change it, plus negative in that case. This is not a minus sign. We do not do anything with that. That is parentheses indicating negative sign. However, this right here is a minus sign. So we have keep, change, change. Once I do that, I notice that I have a DSSL problem that is pretty straightforward. I have 7 plus -1 plus -11 plus -12. Notice that we have a pretty big chunk of SSAK right there. I can quickly call that 7 plus what is -1 plus -11 plus -12. Well, this portion right here gives me -12 plus -12 more gives me -24. So 7 plus -24. And when I add this part together, I'll notice, hey, this is now DSSL. So 7 plus -24, I'll subtract. I should get -17. Why is that? Because I have more negatives than I do positives, so D. So I would pause if I were you and try number 2. Number 3. So again, this is a negative sign, not a subtraction sign. Anything in parentheses is saying, hey, this is a negative. This, however, is a subtraction sign. So I will keep the -5. I will change this. I will change this. This is also subtraction 5. Keep the 3, change plus negative. All right, so now I have a new problem that is -1 plus -5 plus 3, right, plus positive, plus -4. I should use the commutative property of addition to rewrite this so that all my negatives are kind of close to each other. So I can do SSAK, right? So -1 plus -5 plus -4 plus 3 makes a little bit more sense and is easier to solve than this one. So -1 plus -5 plus -4 should all SSAK give me -10, right? 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 4 is 10, keep the sign. -10 plus 3 is my DSSL part. I have more negatives, so I'm going to subtract 10 minus 3 and get 7, but I'm going to leave it as -7 because I had more negatives, so equals -7. All right, number 5. Again, pause the video on number 3, try and do number 4. Number 5 has a lot of subtraction in it, so make sure keep this just the same as it is. Change the minus to a plus, change the -4 to its opposite, a positive. Then keep, change, change. Keep, change, change. Keep, change, change. So my new problem is -6 plus 4, right, plus +4, plus -12 plus 6 plus +6. Use the commutative property of addition to get the like signs next to each other. So -6 plus -12 plus 4 plus 6. Let's use SSAK here to say, hey, -6 plus -12 right there is -18. And then -4 plus 6 is +10. Same signs in both cases, so just same signs, add them up and keep the sign. Now we finally have a DSSL. So this area was the same sign, add, keep. We have DSSL here, so we will subtract -18 minus 10. So 18 minus 10 is 8, but it's -8 because I had more negatives than I did positives. I'd pause and do number 6 if I were you. All right, we're going to be doing the same thing now with decimals, and this shouldn't be that big of a deal. So plus negative. Notice that this is all SSAK since they're all negative. Same sign, just add and keep them up. So let's go ahead and line up those decimals. 1.5, 2.4, 0.2. Let's add. 5 plus 4 plus 2 is 11. Put down your 1, carry your 1. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. 4.1, and it's not positive 4.1, it's negative 4.1 because they were all the same signs, so same signs, add and keep the sign, so negative 4.1. I would pause if I were you and do number 8. Number 9, negative 4.3 plus 7.5 plus positive 6.5. Again, the only thing you can change are minus signs and then the sign directly after it. Right? So we have 7.5, 6.5 are same signs, right? but 4.3 is a different sign. So let's work this first. So 7.5 plus 6.5 gives me 10, carry the 1, gives me 14. All right. Then I can do 14.0 minus 4.3. Why am I doing minus 4.3? Well, because these are different signs negatives, right? So this added up to 14. This is a different sign, positive versus negative, so that's why I subtract. So I'm going to borrow here from the 14, make it 13, make that a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. Put my decimal down, 13 minus 4 is 9. 9.7. Is my answer positive or negative? It's positive because I had more positives than I did negatives. Very confusing. You got to make sure everything stays organized. Make sure you're thinking about the rules very carefully and kind of methodically in your head as you go through this process. So this part again was the SSAK part, where we took the stuff that was like terms, kind of like signs, and just added them up. And then this part was the DSSL part, where we had positives and negatives, and we subtracted and then kept the sign of the larger one. All right. Number 11. We're working with fractions, so find common denominators, find the sum or differences of each problem. Remember to split mixed numbers. So let's go ahead and do this. So we have negative 8 plus, this can be split as 2 plus 1/7, right? So what is negative 8 plus 2? Well, this part right here is a DSSL part. So negative 8 plus 2 ends up being negative 6 plus 1/7. Now, this is very important. I cannot just put negative 6 and 1/7 together. Why can I do it? They're different signs. This is a negative, this is a positive. I have to borrow one whole from the 6 and borrow it in sevens. So negative 5 plus negative 7/7 plus 1/7. All right? Again, I can't just smash these guys together because they are not the same sign. So now I will use DSSL here and say, all right, this will stay negative 5 plus, what is negative 7 plus 1? Again, DSSL gives you negative 6 over 7. 7 minus 1, more negatives, that's how we get negative 6. Now, because they are the same sign, right, they're both negative, now I can just smash them together with a negative sign out front. Negative 5 and 6/7 is your answer. Very confusing, I know. Pause the video, rewind it, watch it again if you need to, and try and do number 12. The big key right here was negative 6 and 1/7 were different signs, so that's why we had to borrow one whole in the form of negative 7 over 7 to go ahead and work with 1/7 to see what was left over. Number 13. We got negative 4 plus negative 2 and 1/7. So let's break this down into negative 4 plus negative 2 plus negative 1/7. Notice, same signs I had to keep, right? So negative 4 and negative 2, that should be very simple. That's just going to be negative 6 plus negative 1/7. Major difference between this problem and my last problem. Notice in this problem, you have the same sign. They're both negatives. Notice in my last problem, you had different signs. One was negative, one was positive. So in this case, I do not need to borrow. I can just smash them together. Negative 6 and 1/7 is your answer. Number 15. 2 3/4 minus negative 3 and 1/6. What do I have to do? Sorry about that. What do I have to do first? You see a minus sign. A red light should go off in your head. Say, alert, alert, change that thing. We don't subtract. Plus a positive. So now break this thing apart into two sums. 2 3/4. Oops, I just messed it up already. 2 plus 3/4 plus 3 plus 1/6. Use the commutative property of addition to say, hey, I want to put the 2 and the 3 by each other. The whole number is 2 plus 3 plus 3/4 plus 1/6. Now go ahead and find your common denominators. I could multiply by 6, I could multiply by 4, or I could recognize, hey, 12 is the common denominator. Times 2 times 3. So we get 2 plus 3 plus 9 over 12 plus 2 over 12. This part right here gives me a whole number of 5. 9 plus 12 is 11. Keep the denominator 5 and 11/12. A. Number 17. We have negative 7/4 minus 4 1/2. So here we go. Negative 7/4 plus negative, right? Plus negative 4. Again, break this into two parts. plus negative 1/2. If this is negative, the whole thing is negative. So let's go ahead and use commutative property of addition to get our fractions next to each other. Negative 7/4 plus negative 1/2 plus negative 4. Now go ahead and find common denominator. So just got to multiply this guy by 2. So we get negative 7/4 plus negative 2/4 plus a whole number of 4. This gives us negative 9/4. Why? SSAK. Negative 7 plus negative 2 is negative 9 plus 4. Now, here's a problem. Negative 9/4, improper. So 4 goes into, oops, sorry about that. Let me scroll down just a little bit more. All right, back where I was. 4 goes into 9 2 times with 1 left over. So 2 1/4. But here's the thing, this was negative, so you got to make sure that was negative. So in the end, wow, crazy stuff, right? We have 4 and negative 2 1/4. Negative 2 1/4 plus 4. How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to break this apart. We're going to say negative 2 plus negative 1/4 plus 4. Crazy stuff. What can we do? We can go ahead and say, all right, negative 2 plus 4 plus negative 1/4. Right? Get these guys together. What's negative 2 plus 4? That's positive 2. So positive 2 plus negative 1/4. Now think of this. You had $2. You lost a quarter. What's that going to give you? 1 and... oh, shoot. This was a negative the entire time. My fault, guys. Oh, my goodness. I messed you guys up. Good catch. Sorry about that. So now we can just look at this. We can just smash those guys together. We get 6, negative 6, and 1/4. A. All right. Big mistake by me, but that's what these negatives can do to you, right? The trick is keeping track of your negatives the entire time. So negative 6 and 1/4 is your answer there. I thought that was a little hard. All right. Number 19. We got negative 2 plus positive plus negative. So let's use commutative property of addition to rewrite this as negative 2 plus negative 2, right? I'm moving this over here, plus positive 2 1/4. What's negative 2 plus negative 2? That's not 0. That's negative 4 plus 2 plus 1/4. What did I do here? I just broke this up into its counterparts, right? Negative 4 plus 2 is DSSL. So many different rules going on here, right? So negative 2 plus 1/4. Now, we can't just smash these together. Like this, we could smash this together because they were like signs. Not like signs. So what do I have to do? I have to borrow one whole in the form of fourths. So negative 1 plus negative 4 over 4 plus 1/4. That's the 4 right here determine what my whole would be. And remember, I had to keep it negative because this thing was negative. So I get negative 1 plus, what is negative 4 plus 1? DSSL again, gets negative 3/4. Now, since they're the same sign, I can smash them together, and we get negative 1 3/4. B. This is a difficult homework assignment. Watch the videos, pause them, rewind them, show all work. Do not use the weekend and say, I'll just circle and answer whatever I want to do. Call me if you have questions. Show your work, try, erase, make mistakes, try again.